$4 billion. That's what Americans will spend on collagen powder this year. One scoop at a time, stirred into coffee on pure faith that it ends up somewhere useful. Well, here's the part that product labels conveniently skip. Your stomach doesn't know the difference between a $50 tub of peptides and a plain chicken thigh. Both get broken down into the exact same amino acids before anything gets absorbed. Where those amino acids actually go from there is a decision your body makes entirely on its own, with zero regard for what you paid to get them in the door. Your grandmother never kept a tub like that on her counter. She didn't need one. She was building the same protein, using the same biology, with food she already had, and she was doing it more completely than most people manage now. And it's because she never threw away the parts of the animal that actually held it. So today, we're exploring 15 traditional foods. Some of them hand you the actual collagen protein bone broth is famous for, only more of it. Others hand your body what it needs to turn that protein into new collagen in the first place. And stick with me all the way through, because the last item on this list isn't something you eat to build collagen, it's what keeps the collagen you already have from breaking down before it can do its job. Number 15 is bone broth. Before I show you 14 things that beat it, you need to actually see what real bone broth looks like, because most people have never made it from scratch, and what's sold as broth in a carton doesn't come close. Speaking of which, when was the last time your bone broth actually set into a gel in the fridge? Because that is the test. A true traditional broth, the kind simmered low for 18 to 24 hours with the joints and cartilage still attached, sets into a soft wobble once it cools. That wobble is gelatin, and gelatin is what collagen turns into once heat and time have broken it down into something your body can actually use. Here's how you get the real version. 2 to 3 pounds of mixed bones per gallon of water, a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to help pull the minerals loose, and the lowest possible heat for a full 18 to 24 hours. Skim it now and then. Strain it. If it doesn't gel, it wasn't done long enough. Try again. Now, if broth is the raw ingredient, the next item on this list is what happens when someone took that same ingredient and pushed it one step further, into something your ancestors kept in a tin, and something the grocery store version doesn't even attempt to imitate. Number 14 is gelatin. And I want to be clear about which gelatin I mean, because two completely different products are hiding behind that one word. The traditional kind came from reducing broth down even further into something firm, plain, and entirely unflavoured. The kind that went into aspics, savoury jellied dishes, and sauces that needed thickening. There was nothing sweet about it at all. The flavoured packets on grocery shelves today share the name and basically nothing else, even once you strip away the sugar and the artificial colour. To make the real thing, take a finished batch of broth, reduce it by half over low heat, then chill it. Done properly, it holds its shape when you turn it out of the container, closer to a firm cheese than anything wobbly in a cup. Here's the strange part though. If gelatin comes from skin, joints and cartilage, then why did the cuts richest in exactly those things disappear from most American kitchens 2 generations ago? Number 13 answers that question directly. Chicken feet and pork trotters. I know how that sounds to a modern ear, but these cuts are almost pure skin, cartilage and connective tissue, which means gram for gram they hold far more usable collagen than the muscle meat most people default to. Traditional cooks in nearly every culture on earth understood this and treated feet and trotters as the whole point of the stock pot, not as an afterthought. You can usually find both at Asian grocery stores and most butcher counters, often for a fraction of what a cut of steak normally costs. Add 4 to 6 chicken feet or 1 to 2 pork trotters straight into your broth pot alongside your other bones. They won't give you much meat, but they'll give you nearly all of your gel. Now, chicken feet and trotters aren't the only things that fall under the nobody wants this cut category. There's a whole other version of that problem sitting at the fish counter. Number 12 is fish heads and skin, and coastal communities from Scandinavia to Japan built entire culinary traditions around exactly the part of the fish most home cooks throw away. Skin and the collagen-rich tissue around the head and collar contains a concentrated form of marine collagen. Some research suggests it may be absorbed more readily than the bovine collagen found in most powders, though the studies comparing both sources directly are still limited. What is not limited, though, is how long people have relied on it. Nordic stock and Japanese dashi have both leaned on heads and bones for centuries. Ask your fishmonger to save you the heads, collars, and skin. Most will, often for free. Simmer them into a light stock for just 20 to 30 minutes, far shorter than a beef or pork broth, since fish collagen breaks down much faster. For number 11, we move on to a cut that used to be so cheap it was practically a throwaway item at the butcher counter. Now it shows up on menus with a price tag that would surprise you. Number 11 is oxtail, and it sits right at the centre of everything this video is about. It is made almost entirely of connective tissue and marrow-rich bone. It's capable of producing one of the richest braising liquids you'll ever make at home. A generation or two back, oxtail was a value cut for exactly that reason, all that connective tissue. It only recently came back into fashion, and mostly through Caribbean, Filipino and Southern cooking traditions that never stopped using it in the first place. Braise 2 to 3 pounds low and slow at around 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 to 4 hours, until the meat pulls easily and the liquid has thickened into something glossy. Inside that same bone, though, sits something even richer, something old-world kitchens reserved specifically for the people who needed the most nourishment. Number 10 is bone marrow. And I know what you might be thinking. Bones. Again? If you're waiting for pumpkin seeds, citrus, and the parts of this list you didn't necessarily expect, hang on, we're almost there. But marrow earns one more stop before we leave the stock pot behind, because it hands you something none of the other cuts on this list do. Marrow itself isn't collagen. What it delivers instead is something collagen production can't happen without: a concentrated dose of fat-soluble nutrients and minerals, including zinc, the mineral your body needs to actually build new collagen, not just absorb the raw material. We'll circle back to zinc more than once before this list is over. Maybe that's part of why traditional cultures never treated marrow as a garnish. It was set aside for whoever in the household needed it most, which tells you something about how it was valued. Ask your butcher to split marrow bones lengthwise, roast them at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes until soft, and spread it over toast the way it's been served in French and British kitchens for well over a century. Let's talk about something sitting in your own fridge right now that 30 years of diet advice told you to scrape into the sink. Number 9 is egg yolks, and I mean the whole yolk, not the whites only habit a lot of us picked up along the way. Dietary guidelines through the 1970s and 80s pushed hard toward yolk-free eating. Eventually, egg white omelettes became the responsible choice, and an entire generation learned to treat the yolk as the risky part of the egg instead of the valuable part. Here's what gets thrown out with egg yolks: nearly all of an egg's zinc, sulfur, and usable vitamin content. Skip it, and you're skipping most of what an egg actually offers toward collagen, the zinc your body needs to build with, and the sulfur it needs to cross-link the fibres once they're built. That said, quality matters here too, and there's an easy way to judge it. A deep orange yolk, the kind you'll find from a pasture-raised hen that's actually been outside eating grass and bugs, carries more of these nutrients than the pale yellow yolk from a hen that spent its life indoors on commercial feed. If you've ever wondered why a farmer's market egg looks so different cracked into the pan, that's why. Pro tip: soft-boiled, over easy, or gently cooked into a traditional custard, the way a homemade pudding or crème anglaise is made, all keep more of that yolk's nutrition intact than a hard-fried egg, a well-done scramble, or a fully hard-boiled egg does. The gentler the heat and the shorter the time, the more survives. 2 to 3 whole eggs, yolk included, most days of the week, is a realistic place to land. Number 8 is oysters. Prized across nearly every coastal culture in history for reasons that go well beyond flavour. A single serving can deliver several times the zinc you'd get from a comparable serving of beef. This is important because zinc is involved in more than 100 different enzyme reactions your body uses to build and maintain collagen. Fresh, steamed or lightly grilled keeps the most zinc intact. Heavy breading and deep frying are, unfortunately, the most common way oysters show up on a menu today. The issue here is that it undoes a lot of the reason they're worth eating in the first place. Oysters aren't exactly a weeknight grocery run for most people though. Between the price per pound, the shucking, and the fact that a lot of us just weren't raised eating something raw off the half shell, it's not the easiest habit to build. So here's the version that costs about $5 and keeps in your pantry for the better part of a year. Number 7 is pumpkin seeds, one of the most concentrated plant-based zinc sources you can buy, and unlike oysters, they need zero shucking and store for months. Traditional households across Mexico and Central America have treated pumpkin seeds, often called pepitas, as an everyday staple rather than a garnish for centuries. A quarter cup of raw or roasted hulled seeds as a daily snack gets you a meaningful amount toward what you need in a day, and roasting barely touches the zinc at all, since minerals hold up to heat far better than vitamins do. And you don't have to eat them out of your hand. You can toss a spoonful over a salad, stir them into a bowl of the ancient grains we covered a few videos back, or work them into a homemade granola. They're one of the easiest additions on this entire list. Zinc is only half the puzzle though. There's a second mineral standing right beside it, hiding in something you probably already cook with most nights of the week. Number 6 is garlic and onions, both rich in sulfur, the mineral your body uses to cross-link individual collagen fibers into their finished structural form. If you skip enough sulfur, the collagen still gets produced, but it stays weaker and less organised, like thread that never got properly woven together. Nearly every traditional cuisine on earth has foundations built on garlic and onion cooked low and slow. Turns out that habit was doing a lot more than adding flavour. 2 to 3 cloves and half a small onion, worked into the base of your soups and stews most days, is a realistic and sustainable amount. Sulfur's job is holding those collagen fibres together once they exist. It can't build them in the first place, and that job belongs to a completely different nutrient, one most people already assume they've got handled with their morning glass of orange juice. Everyone assumes citrus wins the vitamin C conversation. Something sitting in your produce aisle right now is about to prove that assumption wrong. Number 5 is bell peppers, and specifically the red ones, which carry roughly 3 times the vitamin C of an orange. A red bell pepper isn't actually different from the green one sitting next to it in the produce aisle. It's the same pepper, left on the vine longer to ripen fully. That extra time is what builds up the vitamin C, along with the beta-carotene that gives it the deep colour. Green peppers still have some vitamin C, but the red ones simply have the time to develop far more of it. Vitamin C isn't a minor supporting player here. It's the one nutrient your body absolutely cannot build new collagen without. No vitamin C, and the enzymes responsible for stabilizing that new collagen simply stop functioning. 1 medium red pepper, eaten raw or lightly cooked, does the job. Long high heat destroys a good portion of that vitamin C, so if you're cooking them at all, a quick stir fry or light steaming holds on to far more than boiling does. Now, if a pepper can outperform an orange, wait until you hear what people used to do with the part of the orange itself that almost everyone throws straight in the trash. Number 4 is citrus pith and peel, the parts of the fruit most of us discard without a second thought. That white pith underneath the skin, along with the zest, carries bioflavonoids and vitamin C in concentrations well beyond what you get from the juice alone. Old world marmalade traditions across Britain and southern Europe were built specifically around using the whole fruit, peel included, rather than tossing it. Zest a lemon or orange straight into tea, dressings, or even a baking batter. If you're feeling ambitious, try making a traditional whole fruit marmalade, simmering the peel and all with a modest amount of sugar and water. There was actually one point in modern history when citrus itself nearly vanished from an entire country's shelves overnight. Here's what people reached for instead. Number 3 is rose hips, the small red fruit left behind once a rose's petals fall, and one of the richest plant sources of vitamin C you'll find anywhere in a temperate climate. During British wartime rationing, when citrus imports stopped almost entirely, the government organised a nationwide collection of wild rose hips just to fill that exact gap. An entire generation grew up on rose hip syrup because of it. The easiest way to enjoy it is a simple tea. Steep a tablespoon of dried rose hips in hot water for about 10 minutes, strain out the fruit, and stir in a spoonful of honey and a small squeeze of lemon. The flavour on its own is tart, somewhere between cranberry and a slightly underripe apple. and the honey and lemon round it out into something genuinely pleasant, not medicinal tasting at all. Dried rose hips are easy to find at most health food stores, or online if you'd rather not forage. Most people treat this next one as garnish. It's been actual food, eaten by the handful, for a lot longer than it's been used as culinary decoration. Number 2 is parsley, alongside other traditional bitter greens like dandelion and watercress. Together, they deliver a solid dose of vitamin C, plus chlorophyll and a range of trace minerals. Traditional kitchens never treated these as garnish. They were eaten in real quantities, often raw, as a daily habit rather than an occasional side. A generous handful of fresh parsley, chopped into salads, grains, or a simple herb sauce most days of the week, is enough to make a difference. You can also steep it into a traditional parsley tea, simmered for a few minutes and finished with honey and a splash of lemon. Though heat does take a toll on vitamin C, so raw or lightly cooked is still your best source. The tea is more of a pleasant addition than a replacement. Dandelion greens, young and tender in spring, are traditionally tossed into a salad with a warm vinegar dressing to soften their natural bitterness, or sautéed briefly with garlic the way Italian and southern cooks have done for generations. Watercress, meanwhile, has a sharp, peppery bite that holds up well in a simple soup, or piled onto a sandwich the old English tea table way. And that brings us to number 1, dark berries. Blackberries, blueberries, elderberries, and their wild traditional relatives. And here's why I saved this one for last. Building new collagen only solves half the equation. Your body is also breaking existing collagen down constantly, through sun exposure, through age, and through everyday inflammation. Dark berries are rich in antioxidant compounds that help protect the collagen you've already built from that ongoing breakdown. And that makes them different from everything else on this list. They're not a building nutrient, they're a protective one. And protection is exactly what turns these nutritional habits into something that actually holds over time. Build without protecting, and you're always playing catch-up. That is the real difference this whole list is making. Most of what passes for health advice today waits for something to go wrong and then reacts to it. Everything you just heard is the opposite of that. It's what people ate before anything went wrong, not after. That's why this one closes the list instead of opening it. So there it is, 15 traditional foods that do what a $50 tub only promises, and not one of them needs a subscription, a discount code, or a monthly refill. Start with one this week. Ask your butcher about Oxtail or Trotters. Eat the yolk. That's genuinely enough to begin. If today got you rethinking what's actually in your kitchen, that's exactly what our free Natural Living Starter Kit is for. In it we cover 50 traditional swaps for the things modern life sold you, remedies we had all along before anyone put a price tag on them. The link is in the description, and it's free. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one, here at the Natural Living Library.